Batman has faced off against some of the most twisted and dangerous villains in comic book history, from colorful maniacs to powerful agents of chaos to even criminal masterminds. But among his many, many foes lies a unique and deadly type of menace, the femme fatales. And out of all of them, there is one that stands out, but not because of power or complexity, but for being dangerously manipulative in the lowest and most boring way possible. Meet Gillian Maxwell, a woman who has no metahuman powers, nor does she have any complex master plans. Gillian is just a rootless social climber, suffering from an extreme case of hypergamy, or in other words, a gold digger, but of the worst kind. Gillian debuted in Choices, a story from the first Batman Halloween special back in '93 by Jep Loeb and Tim Sale, the iconic duo behind the acclaimed Batman The Long Halloween, Batman Dark Victory, and Catwoman When in Rome. Now, despite having the same creative team as those other iconic series, this particular tale does not take place during that same continuity, as it came out several years prior, and has several differences from that other timeline. The story begins with Scarecrow going on a rampage, unleashing a strong new fear toxin out in Gotham, stronger than any of his previous toxins, by the way. Eventually, Batman finds him and at one point is exposed to the toxin, which seemingly has no effect on him. That is, until he goes to bed, and his nightmares begin, unraveling a new level of psychological torment, forcing him to relive his most painful memories with such a vivid and cruel intensity that it actually begins to affect his behavior, even when he's awake. Despite this, Bruce Wayne hosts a Halloween ball at the Wayne Manor, where we get to see some nice little nudges and winks at other great series. Amongst all those guests is Gillian, a rude and mysterious, overtly flirtatious woman in a sultry red dress, in the same vein as Jessica Rabbit, who charms Bruce effortlessly while dodging every personal question related to herself. Gillian, who brought her pets to the party, by the way, Daisy and Hotspur, two unruly Dalmatians, who actually end up making a mess in the room connected to the Batcave. Gillian offers to pay for damages, but of course never does. She then refuses to give contact information, insisting she'll be around, and she is. From that moment on, Gillian essentially becomes Bruce's stalker, showing up daily at the manor, uninvited and unannounced, even sneaking into his bedroom undetected, at one point even finding Bruce naked in bed. Bruce somehow finds this amusing rather than creepy, as any sane person would do. Alfred, however, immediately smells something fishy, no pun intended, and takes caution when around Gillian. Now, one thing to take note to is Gillian's behavior towards Alfred. During this whole thing, she's consistently rude and patronizing towards him, treating him like expendable help. But this is the most infuriating part. Despite her clear disrespect and bizarre behavior towards Alfred, Bruce not only fails to notice anything wrong, but actually falls deeper under her spell, going on dates and entertaining her presence, while she deflects every question about her past. It should be noted that every time Gillian and Bruce are together, something unusual happens, whether it be getting mugged at gunpoint or something strange and fishy. But something always happens that steers the attention away from Gillian's past. Finally, Alfred, concerned, suspicious, and quite frankly tired of her, takes matter into his own hands, and using face recognition software from the Batcomputer, uncovers Gillian's true identity. As it turns out, Gillian, whose real name is actually never mentioned, is a bona fide Black Widow, wanted by the FBI, the CIA, the KGB, Scotland Yard, and even Interpol. Jillian's line of work is basically seducing and marrying rich men, only to eliminate them later. So the next time she tries to break into the Wayne Manor, Alfred is actually waiting. When confronted about her past and all the identities she has gone under, she lashes out violently at Alfred, who, as always, is a gentleman, and calmly responds with grace. Then, when Alfred tries to warn Bruce about Jillian, the reaction is both shocking and sad, as Bruce actually snaps at Alfred in such a way that Alfred actually offers to resign, which made me so mad and sad, given how Alfred has always had a relentless loyalty and fatherly bond with Bruce. So when Bruce finally dares to look at the evidence, he actually seems far more upset with Alfred than with Jillian. And still, Alfred offers some words of encouragement. Maybe it wasn't Batman who made the mistake, but Bruce Wayne. The story ends with Jillian sunbathing on a Brazilian beach, about to marry the richest man in the country, with his demise already planned, until an unknown messenger hands her a note that simply says, "Confess," signed with a bat symbol, leaving Jillian both scared and confused. Now, what makes Jillian so memorable isn't really her criminal genius or bewitching charm. Not even a distinct look, because she has none of those things. No, in Jillian's case, it's simply how brazenly unrefined, tactless, and even rude she is. She sticks out like a sore thumb in Bruce's world. Her speech, her behavior, and tasteless makeup, which, by the way, looks like a cross between a toddler playing with crayons or Boy George during his heyday, which kinda makes her feel like a tacky parody dropped into a noir story. Far more elevated than anything she has to offer. She lacks the depth and mystique of characters like Selina Kyle or even Talia, or basically any other woman who has earned Bruce's affection. Jillian, on the other hand, just barged in one day and somehow got everything she wanted. Well, almost everything. Writer Jeph Loeb typically excels at writing strong, compelling women, but in this case, Jillian's depiction feels so blunt and tasteless that it's hard to tell if we were supposed to hate her from the start. And if that was the case, does that not rob the story of the element of surprise? Wouldn't it have been much more powerful if we were charmed by her, just like Bruce? Only to then be sucker punched by her true nature? In the end, Alfred takes the cake as the true hero from this story, and as the only one sharp enough to see through Jillian's facade since day one. Yet, as always, he balances discretion with devotion, allowing Bruce enough space to figure out things on his own, while protecting him from real harm once he realizes Bruce is too stupid to do it on his own, just as a father would. Having read this story as a kid, back when it came out, I misremembered certain things. For example, I was sure Jillian was some kind of villainess who was poisoning Bruce using toxins or pheromones to get under his skin. But that was not the case. Reading it again now, it's even more frustrating realizing that the only thing clouding Bruce's judgment was, and please pardon my French, horniness. Batman has been surrounded by dangerously clever, mighty powerful, strikingly beautiful women, but somehow this crass and uninspired, yet desperate gold digger nearly destroyed him. Excuse me, what? So, tell me, dear viewer, did you remember this wet fart of a woman? And most importantly, from 1 to 10, how much did you want to punch Bruce in the face during this whole thing? As always, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Be safe and well. And remember, no one is worth betraying your loved ones, because those who do deserve to be punched in the face.
You look like an angel, look like an angel, walk like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel, but I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. Ooh. You look like an angel. Look like an angel. Walk like an angel. Walk like an angel. Talk like an angel. But I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. Ooh.